We're going to have myself and Ken Dole, who's our Discover Options mentoring coach, and he's going to be talking also about some of the features of OptionVue 7. Today we're going to talk about the quotes display and show some things with what you can do to customize the quotes display. Also, the TOS export, where you take the actual record-keeping function. Sorry about the bell there. Take the record-keeping functions from TOS and export all of that record-keeping into OptionVue automatically. This can be done very, very quickly once you get the hang of it. So Ken's going to show that. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Portfolio Delta and the changes that we've made to actually make it a lot more efficient and productive for you to use on a day-in, day-out basis. And I wanted to say that if you have questions, if you could please email me, Karen at OptionVue.com, or email Ken. His email is kend, as in Dole, at OptionVue.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer your specific questions about this particular presentation. So with no further ado, or with whatever ado, we will continue, and I'm going to turn the headset and the presentation over to Ken. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for showing up today. We'll get started in just a minute here. Share desktop. You'll see my option view in just a second. Okay. All right, so here looking at the option view screen, and we're going to start out just with some of the basics for anybody that's new viewing it. The main option view page is the quotes display, and this is where your option is going to open, and you can view all the symbols that you want to watch. So this is where we're going to start off today. And one of the new features that is very useful is that you can change your quotes display to be, instead of just a vertical display, like I can scroll down on this using the down arrow or the up arrow. But we can now actually put it into tabs, as you see down at the bottom of my screen. So if I was to just double click one of these assets, I'll open up a matrix. So that's the basic functionality. You get the full Apple options matrix there. And we can group things according to categories, as you see here. Got commodities, etc. The other thing that's useful as far as managing your symbol count is you only have 1,000 symbols generally available to receive data. You can just click the little box. If you click it when it's yellow, it'll turn to green. That means it's getting data. If you click it when it's green, it will turn to yellow. That will turn data off. So that can help you manage your symbol count if you're not using certain categories all the time. So now with regard to creating a tab, you can just, see, I've got the main, this is on the main one now, and I've created these other tabs. So I can more easily scroll between groupings by using the tabs setup. In order to create a tab, you just right-click the bar and click Add a Tab. If you just click Add a Tab, it's going to put it at the end of your list. If you wanted to delete a tab, just right-click and delete. If I right-click and say Manage Tabs, it's going to insert a new tab. I can actually change the order of the tabs by just clicking on Manage. If I wanted to move that test up or down, we can do that. So you can get the order however it's easier for you to see, according to how often you use these. You can get them in the right configuration. Now, let's say you wanted to go back to the main one. You want to move some of these out of here. Here's the tricky part. In order to move anything to another tab, you first have to left-click it to highlight it, and then right-click, and then select the group you want to move it to. So I'm going to move that group into Test. So now it disappeared from here, and it ends up putting that whole grouping into the Test tab. So it took it out of here and put it in here. Now, if I deleted the Test tab, all these symbols would be gone. So before you be careful if you want to delete a tab, because it's going to delete all the symbols in that tab as well. So if it's just blank, or if you just wanted to get rid of a tab that you don't need anymore, then just left-click first, right-click, move it back to main, or whichever one you want to put it to. It'll be the same here. Left-click, right-click, move it to main. And now I could delete this test. So that tab is now gone. I want to recreate it, just a tab. And I'm going to transfer something back. Test. So there we go. So now we can manage that way. If you wanted to keep some symbols in the main tab and then still move them over here, there's no real easy way to do that unless you export your quotes display into a different file. So I'm going to show you that now. So what I've done is so that you can keep the symbols in both the main and the test, the ones we're using here. So if I wanted to export, I wanted to move symbols and still keep them in here, you can't really do that unless you pull it from another source. So what I'm going to show you now is that you can make an Excel spreadsheet out of the quotes display. So in order to do that, we would go to the C drive. So I've got my C drive. This is where the OptionVue program is. I'm going to open that up and get to the quotes display. It's inside here's the file path up here. So you just navigate to your Windows Explorer, pull up, use 7 folder, look, and then right-click, copy, back up a level. I'm going to make it easy. I'll just put it right on the C drive. And I've already done that, so I would just right-click, paste. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Let's see here. If I do that, it just creates this file. So what you have to do is change this file name. So you'd right-click it again and click Rename and change it to .csv. .csv. That it basically makes it into a file that will open in Excel. I'm going to delete this one. I don't need it. It gives you this message. I'm going to say no and delete this. I've already got it there, but that's the procedure. So now if I double click that, once I've changed the extension to, instead of quotes.col, quotes.csv, by renaming it, I can open it as an Excel spreadsheet. And then I can pull symbols from here just by highlighting the symbol column. So I'm going to use the Shift key and grab a group of symbols here. And then I'm going to right-click, copy, move back into OptionVue to my quotes display. Click on in the grouping that I want to add. So I'm going to have to go to Tests now. Go to Edit, Edit, Paste Symbols. So it added to grouping. That was only one grouping there. It just added that in. So in that fashion, you could pull whatever symbols you want and put them into multiple groupings. That's what you needed. So that's also a way for you to export your list of symbols from the quotes display. This is very useful in some cases. Or you can just have that saved as an easy source of having a list of your symbols available, so you don't lose them. Easy to just right click and copy, and everything ends up back in your quotes display instead of typing everything again. So it serves as an extra backup. So that's an interesting way to. Now, if you want to delete any of these, as I mentioned, you're going to lose those symbols. But if you've done that little step, you could easily just recreate it just using that file with all the symbols. Everything is there. So you can see all the categories are there, all the symbols are there, and just a simple renaming of the file does that. So that's that section. We aren't using that for the toss, no. So now we'll move into the TOS export feature. So the first thing you need to do, go back to the, you need to create a file where you're going to put the data that OptionVue can copy it from. So again, I'm back to my Windows Explorer now. This is outside of the OptionVue program in your computer files. So we're going to create a place where we can look, where we can point OptionVue to copy the data. So in this case, you would just click on New Folder and name it. In this case, I've named it KPTOS. So I'm going to just delete this one since I already have that done. But this is the file that we're going to. That's important. You can put it somewhere else, but I just find it real easy to put it on the C drive. That way you have less levels, as you're going to see when we're setting this up, to look through to find your file, because you do need to locate the file. So that's the first step. So we create a file to export to. And next you're going to open up your platform. This is my test account. And I do have a couple of trades in here that we can use as an example. So the first thing you want to do, if you want to save your settings, this is the ThinkorSwim platform. So first thing we're going to do is save the workspace. So we're going to save the workspace as whatever. So we're going to put, so I'm calling mine Ken. So there we go. I've already done that. I'm going to cancel it. So if you've got all your settings for your charts, etc., you're going to need to save those because we're going to return everything to the default settings, and you would lose it. So basically, we need to create an extra workspace that we can return to default without losing your all your settings. So we're going to save that workspace, name it something, because the way TOS works, it does not automatically save your workspace. It creates a temporary folder, but it won't automatically save your settings. It'll just revert back to default. Everything will revert back to default. So you create a workspace with all your settings, save that, then save another workspace, and I called it test. So now you've got two workspaces. And then we want to load that test. So I'm going to click yes, I'm going to change everything to the test. So that's what we already. So this is set up now to go. And the only thing you need to do with your TOS platform is click on Monitor and then Account Statement. So once you're in account statement, that's what's going to export. It doesn't really matter what's displayed here. You see there's nothing in trade right now with 1 day. I haven't actually traded anything in there for a while. So how am I going to get this to find the data? Well, we can change the dates viewed. So I'm going to look back. I can go back 30 days just automatically. Still nothing there. This is what we're looking at right here. If I change the dates viewed back another couple of days, in this case I do have a trade in there. So that's what we'll export. So you can manually adjust your dates. So next step is change everything back to default. Delete. So we're going to return everything to defaults. Reset workspace to default. So this is important because OptionVue will only recognize the data if it's in this format. So once we've done that, then we can click Export. That's the little export button. Oh, cancel that. Let's get back to account statement. Export. We lost it there. It's a little bit tricky the first time, but once you get it all set up, it really works great. It's a big time saver. So there's the export. So we're going to click that. We're going to click Export. And then we're going to locate the file. So it's down a few levels. I'm going to go back to the C drive. Here's the file I created. So this is just looking in your computer files. It's not in TOS, it's in your computer files. So we need to highlight that. First we're going to have to change the file of type. We're going to change it to CSV. The format needs to be CSV. That just creates a comma delimited file. And if you leave it in web format, it will not, OptionVue will not be able to read it. So that's crucial. So once you've changed it to CSV format, then click on the file and open. See, I've already got one in there. So I'm going to export. Go back to OptionVue now. Open up your account. See, I've created an account here where I'm going to dump that data in OptionVue. Open up your T-log. Click on the fourth button from the left. It's the TOS export button. So we're going to import prices from there. So I have to pick the one that I want to use. This is the one I just created. And we'll just make sure the most recent one is checked, or whichever one you want to import is checked. Then click Next. That lists the test trade that I put in there. Click Import. And it imported it to the T-log. Once I click OK, now it shows up in the transaction log. It's very nifty, and if you trade more than just a trades a day, believe me, it's a huge time saver. So that is essentially the process. So again, the key things are return the TOS workspace to default, create an extra one, an extra workspace that you can use for the exporting process so you don't lose all your settings. And then go ahead and click the little button to the left of Setup. But you have to be in the account statement. So again, that's crucial. So there we go with that. So that's two of the main things I wanted to cover today. Hope you find that useful. I use it all the time, and it's, like I said, it's a huge, trading a bunch of trades like I do. It's wonderful. Okay, Karen wants to say something here.
Okay, so we're going to move along now to talk a little bit about some of the changes we made to to the portfolio beta. And Ken, if you could show where that is located in the status screen. And then he'll take over after I introduce this. But the portfolio delta did not used to include short positions. So what we're doing now is we're including short positions. If you're short stock or short options, we're going to include that in the portfolio beta calculation, and we're going to weight each position using the portfolio delta. And we're going to do that asset by asset. And this number is going to be a lot more meaningful. So I'm going to turn this back over to Ken, but he's going to show us how the portfolio beta and delta work at this point and how it's been revised. This is only in version 7.18, this new feature. So if you guys have not downloaded the latest version, please do so. If you don't have a Star subscription, then you cannot get this upgrade. So you'll have to call me and I can get you set up to download the latest version. All right, back to Ken on the portfolio.
So portfolio beta in OptionVue, as most of you probably know, is not a new feature, but the way it's calculating the portfolio beta is new. So that's why we're mentioning it here as a new feature. It's been upgraded. So it, previously, if you had a list of stocks like this in a portfolio, and I'm going to get out of this and go to status. So this is where you're going to see in the status screen, top row, the buttons, that green button there. Click that. And that gets you to the all of your open positions are going to show up here, and the portfolio beta and R squared are there. Now, portfolio beta is the correlation of volatility, correlated volatility to your beta delta base. So where that number, the top number there is portfolio beta. So where that number is greater than 1, then the movement in that portfolio or asset is going to be generally greater than the movement of the base, in this case the SPX. So where that number was equal to 1, it would be generally about the same movement in the same direction as your beta delta base. So if it was 1, it would be pretty nearly, you could expect to be pretty nearly the same as the SPX. If it was less than 1, then you could expect the movement of your asset or portfolio to be a little bit less than the movement of the SPX. And if it was 0, you could expect no correlation between your portfolio and the base, in this case the SPX. If it was less than 0, then you could expect an opposite correlation. Your portfolio would move in the opposite direction to the SPX. And previously, we could only use positive positions on stocks and options and have it calculate a beta. So what's different now is we can actually put short positions in or negative delta option positions. So we're going to do that now. We're going to go to go back to a matrix. I'm going to put in the SPY. And I'm going to buy some puts. I bought 10 of the at-the-money puts and click Convert. It's going to show up in my T-log now. I've got the position there. And in status, and I've got the portfolio beta is now pretty close to 0. So in that way you could see if you've completely neutralized your position or not. You could also put in a short stock position, which previously we couldn't do. So we can, what if we took the Qs, for example, open up a matrix, we'll put in short 100, convert that. Now go back to status. We got a short position in the Qs, that again change the portfolio beta. Now this R2 number is how closely your beta is aligning to the data points, are aligning to your linear regression, which is basically what beta is. It's a linear regression. So if you could picture a line either up or down, right to left or left to right, and then data points around it, the higher that R squared number, which is basically your correlation coefficient, the closer those data points would come to your regression line. So if that was close to 0, then you'd basically have data points all over the place in a wide range, and the linear regression line would not come close to very many of them. So it wouldn't be a very good representation. But the closer it gets to 1, then the more reliable that data is as far as your beta goes. So that's where the R squared comes in. It's the correlation coefficient. So you can actually find out which one has the highest, because R squared is listed next to your beta delta basis. You could find the one that had the highest correlation to your beta, to your portfolio. In this case, the Qs would actually be the highest R squared. And we could change it, and that would change of course, the numbers a bit. So that's where you could use that R squared feature. And also, portfolio delta is calculated based on all the assets here, so that's very useful as well. And that delta number is based on whatever beta delta base you're using. So this is basically a equivalent to 408 shares of the Qs. And then I could switch it back to the SPX, and it would basically mean your portfolio would move roughly $13 for every point the SPX moved. So that's where that portfolio delta comes in. So that's a big upgrade, and we had one client in particular who was lobbying for that, and we finally got it done. So we're very happy now that we can put short positions in. We can basically just tell how we can expect our entire portfolio to move based on those numbers, and it's going to be really accurate. So that is a huge upgrade. Because as I was saying before, it would only previously do the long stock positions, or positive delta options would be included. For example, a short put. But a long put would not show up. It would not change your portfolio beta. It would change your portfolio delta, but not the beta. So if I went into my T-log and just changed that number to 100 for the SPY puts that were long, you can see what happens to the portfolio beta. Now it's very negatively correlated. In other words, we're short the market by quite a good margin. And you can see that in the portfolio delta as well. So if we were trying to get bearish and wanted to know how correlated we were to the SPX, we know we're pretty closely negatively correlated. We're going to move in the opposite direction to the SPX now. A bit less than the SPX would move because it's less than -1, but certainly it's going to move in the opposite direction. So back to the T-log. I'm going to change that back to a number that would sort of neutralize things. Let's make it 13, just as a guess. So now it's pretty close to 0. That's what it's trying to do. Let's get that portfolio beta. Now it's going to be roughly uncorrelated to the SPX. So in a sense, you'd be very well hedged if you were trying to limit some losses on your stocks. So that's essentially what Hedge Finder would do, but now you can more or less do it just using portfolio beta and inputting a test trade into your transaction log and getting that portfolio beta to where you want it. 0 would be your portfolio is basically uncorrelated to the market of your beta delta base, which is pretty high tech stuff here. Yeah, we could look into Hedge Finder, and that's essentially what it will do. But now, since we have virtually no correlation, it's not going to recommend a hedge. We can click on 6 months, say yes. We're going to say no here. We just have to pick some preferences, click continue. And it says we're already sufficiently hedged, which we already knew because we can see the portfolio beta, as I've described. But if you didn't want to do that, if you didn't want to put in the 13, if you didn't want to pick the strike and the asset to buy put on to hedge, you can use Hedge Finder, and it will tell you how many puts and what strike you should use. It'll be in the options for whatever beta delta base you're in, though. It's going to tell you in SPX options. So if you wanted to do SPY options, you would have to flip to the SPY as your beta delta base. And then it will tell you in SPY options how many and what strike and what month and everything you should do. So that is actually a fascinating study right there just in itself. That's basically what I wanted to cover for today. Let's see. Let's just go into some more general features with OptionVue that I use day in and day out. Formatting. I like to see preset formats. So I've got this one with, I'm doing a 1:6 in format. So you can see you can change these columns to anything, the drop down here. And you change them temporarily just by right clicking. Let's say I wanted to see gamma. I can find gamma on this list, and now it's temporarily changed. I can get back to my default just by clicking my pre-save setting number 1. Or 2, I get 3 setting choices I can use. So that's very useful. So there's just tons of features to, if you haven't used all these features, you can certainly have some fun with this stuff. Here's one that's not very well known based on calls I get. If you click the little pencil eraser in the upper right, just under the close button, the matrix screen, you will be able to clear out any trades. Click clear trades. It will eliminate anything. So if you're trying to analyze and you have some old positions in there that you don't remember what month you had them in or what strike, you can clear everything out easily just by clicking that pencil eraser, click clear trades, and then re-enter your trade. So back to the status screen. If I wanted to analyze just a single position in the list here and do it quickly, you can just double click it and pull up the matrix. It'll populate the matrix with only the position that you have that you just clicked on in status. And then if you click analyze, it's just a straight line for stock. We could put a position in here. Do a credit spread. Convert that. Now it's going to show up in status. I just want to analyze the credit spread, not the stock. Just double click the credit spread. It's going to populate the matrix with just the credit spread. When you click analyze now, the stock in that position for that asset is not included. So you can go up to 5 timelines. You can change the vertical axis to yield and analyze that way. This is the stuff that I use every day, so that's why I'm just going to more familiar territory here. So if you do want to change anything in rather than deleting out or putting in a countering position, we can close this trade out by just entering in a countering position here and hit convert trade. So I'm going to go back to the T-log and just delete that position out by highlighting the date field and then clicking delete down arrow, delete down arrow. Make sure you click OK. If you deleted some lines you didn't want to, just click cancel and it will bring it back. So I bring everything back. So if I deleted too many lines, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those again. Click OK. Back to the T-log. Those positions are now gone. And if I wanted to analyze a spread, which is not something that very many people know about either, so we could do, it's rather than entering the position into the T-log, we can just highlight something on that row, click the spread window, and click, say I want to put a credit spread in, I'm going to sell that one, buy this leg, click show spread window, and I could change the lot size of that trade by just typing a number in here. So now my proposed trade is a 10 lot. So rather than, if you had a condor, for example, you could do the same thing. Let's do that. So we'll clear all positions here. So just clear everything out. Update. And let's go back to stocks. Close the spin. Well, we found out how not to do it. Don't hit delete anything. I don't use that button very often. So I'm going to go back to LinkedIn. Where's that? And we'll just pick a different one. So let's put a condor on here. Let's sell something up here. But we use the spread window to put it on. So we're going to position our condor this way. Highlight here. Minus. Highlight here. Plus. Come down here. Let's sell that one. Buy that one. Show spread window. And now we'll make it a 20 lot. There's your condor. Now I could analyze that trade. I forgot the 500 stock in there. That's why it's... So if I convert that trade, go to status, I've got the condor group by itself. If I double click it, that brings in just the condor now. Click analyze. And there we go. You want to conclude the original position. Everything in the transaction log will populate if you just click P on your keyboard. That brought back the stock. And there's the position with the stock. Just type P is short for populate. That will bring everything back in for that asset that you currently have position on. So these are a few features that are very useful that are kind of hidden. Takes a little practice. So I hope that helps. Well, basically going to wrap it up for today. Hope you got something out of that. And thanks again for joining. Back to Karen for the closeout statement. Here we go.
Well, folks, we did cover a lot of ground today. We talked about the Portfolio Beta Delta base. We talked about the quotes display tabs. We discussed the value of getting the latest version in the Star by having a Star subscription. You can download all the latest versions and stay up to date. We're constantly making changes to the software, so I would definitely it would behoove you to get the latest version and stay up to date. We also discussed some of these really cool features with the clearing out trades in the matrix with hitting the little button underneath the close button that has a pencil on it. And we showed you how to use the spread window, a very unique way to use the spread window without typing a bunch of positions in, just typing in your long or short positions once. In this case, Ken was demonstrating the plus 20. And then the letter P, very, very helpful to type the letter P on in your matrix, and that'll bring in your positions from prior. So I hope this has been a really helpful session for you. And if you do have ThinkorSwim, now you know how to update OptionVue's record-keeping functions with the ThinkorSwim portfolio information without going through a lot of hassles. This is also one of the very latest features in the software. So stay with us, folks, and we'll continue to show you more better and greater things as we progress. Okay, have a great rest of your day. Take care. Toodaloo.